I'm part of the Friends of the Earth India. And this message is particularly made in the context of the Disaster Management Act that is getting amended. Already the Lok Sabha has passed the amendments, unfortunately I would say, and the Rajya Sabha is on the test, and we really hope that these kind of amendments do not go through there. And the reasons are here. The Disaster Management Act in India has a history of having come about as a result of the sufferings that people went through post the tsunami in 2004 and post that the Kashmir earthquake or several other natural disasters that happened. There was a learning that was brought into the practice of disaster management. The disaster management authorities were created and all such. Now, the Disaster Management Act amendment that is proposed has very, very serious implications for the communities and the people in the ground who are frontline victims of disasters that are also now increasingly manufactured due to the climate crisis that we are facing. So here are a few points to this. The loan relief that used to be there for people in the ground has been completely taken away. This is clause 13 of the Disaster Management Act that has been completely removed. If you look at clause 61, for instance, which is basically a provision to make sure that communities were given a compensation by the state, which is their right. Instead, the word compensation has been replaced by relief. Now you can see the perspective of the government changing here. When the UPA government, there were several rights-based legislations that were passed. The Disaster Management Act was passed. But now, when you look at it, you realize that when a compensation, which is a legitimate, right-based need of the community, is replaced with relief, which is a magnanimous gesture of some sort of bureaucratic executive authorities, the pattern is very similar. Like what we saw during the COVID pandemic, the government definitely wants to replace rights-based things in governance and want to replace that with magnanimous governmental throwaways. And this is where the compensation versus relief language is coming in. Now, if you look at the other aspects of this, the Disaster Management Amendment Act is definitely taking away livelihood restoration of communities. This is very much a part and parcel of communities' need, because it's not just about homestead lands, it's not just about agricultural land, it is about the fact that communities lose entirely their livelihood basis during a disaster. And serious disasters have shown us repeatedly in history that this is something that is preventable. Those communities need support from activity from the state. And this is where I think it's very important to make sure that the restoration of livelihoods is definitely brought back into the Act, and much more seriously. I say this also because of the fact that we have had several learnings in the past as part of the People's Commission and the Public Inquiry Committees on COVID and the pandemic, where we have done several public hearings across the country with vulnerable, marginalized, historically oppressed communities. It is very important to note that they have never been redressed or addressed, or their problems were never redressed or addressed during the pandemic by the government. So they have had to fend for themselves. In this context, it is very, very important, and the clarion call is very clear to the Rajya Sabha members, especially the progressive Rajya Sabha members: fight this back. Please do not allow the amendments to pass through the Rajya Sabha. This is for the interest of the country. Disaster management cannot be made into a bureaucratic, centralized effort anymore.